All right, Miss Davey, let's talk about genetics.
All right, hands down, my favorite topic to teach.
Sweet.
All right, I think it's really fun to kind of see how traits are passed from parent to offspring, why there are certain traits that seem to like disappear or reappear. Before we do that, though, it's really important to understand where these traits are coming from. They're coded from the genes that are passed. So when we talk about genes, we're talking about that DNA. And we talked about this with mitosis and meiosis and doubling the information and then having it split into other cells. But specifically, when we talked about meiosis, we're making those sex cells, which will have half that information, which is really important because when that sperm and that egg come together and then they fuse, now we have a complete set. It's called the diploid number. Right? So that's that 46 chromosomes. So that's what we're talking about with genetics is the making of the eggs and sperm, but then how they come together because they can be carrying different genes because ultimately those genes came from their parents, which are like the grandparents. So the study of genetics began with an Austrian monk named Gregor Mendel, and he worked with pea plants. So he looked at, okay, they're white flowers or they're purple flowers? Are there, wrinkled seeds or smooth seeds? Now, obviously, we are a lot more complex than pea plants, but the foundational principles that he came up with are still used when we look at the genetics of, higher order organisms. So one of the things that we can use a tool is called a Punnett square. And I'm going to teach you a little bit about how Punnett square works.
Please.
You ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. So before we begin with this, there's a couple of vocab terms that I'm just going to kind of throw at you.
Okay.
There's genotype and phenotype. Genotype is the actual genes. So if we're looking at like a simple trait, let's just say eye color. Now, eye color is a little bit more involved, but generally with humans, it's light eyes or dark eyes. And then you can go into, well, there's blue, there's brown, because it's a polygenic inheritance. But we're just going to go with light, dark. Dark eyes are the more dominant allele, it's called. So if you have dark eyes, you would be represented by like two big letter E's, or you could be a big letter E and a little letter E, because that big E is going to hide the little one. Does that make sense so far?
Yes. Yep.
All right. So a light-eyed person has no dominant traits. So they would be the double recessive, it's called, or little e, little e.
Got it.
The genotype are those letters. That's what we're looking at is the actual genes. Whereas phenotype is, oh, you have dark eyes or you have light eyes.
All right.
So far, so good?
So the genotype is the actual gene, phenotype is how it expresses itself?
Exactly. So I say phenotype like physical expression. Genotype is the actual genes, just to help remember them.
Got it.
All right, so if we take a look here, let's say that we pick a dark-eyed father. So dark-eyed means that he has at least one dominant allele.
Right.
So we'll use the letter E, and we'll say, okay, he can have big E, little e, or he can have big E, and this would be the dad. His genotype would be big E, little e, or big E. His phenotype would be dark eyes. Make sense?
Yes.
So if I tell you that mom has light eyes, that means that she has the recessive gene.
So she has to have little e, little e.
Perfect. All right. So usually I'll start with saying, okay, well, what is the key? The key is the big E is going to be dark eyes, and that's going to be dominant. We use a big letter because it's like dominating over. Now, we talk about it hiding the recessive, but that's not actually what happens. It's just that it has the protein that's going to allow that trait to happen. So you've got big E is going to be dark, little e is going to be light. Now, let's say that in this case, we're going to talk about the dad being big E. He got the big E from mom and the big E from his dad. So to do a Punnett square, to help predict what the offspring would look like, we can say, all right, we'll put dad up here, mom on the side, and then you basically just kind of drop down from the top, go over from the side. So this child would be big E, little e is his genotype. Is that dark or light?
Dark.
So that would be dark. This one is also big E, little e, so that's going to be dark. And down here, big E, little e, dark, big E, little e, dark. So you can see that if a father who is big E, which is called homozygous dominant, crosses with a mother who is little e, homozygous recessive, 100% of the time, their kids are going to have dark eyes. Right? But if we had gone with the other situation, let's say we said dad is big E, little e, this is called heterozygous or hybrid, kind of like a hybrid car has both gas and electric. So there's your hybrid. Mom is still with light eyes, the double recessive. Here you'd have big E, little e. What would be in this box?
2 little e's.
Little e, little e.
Big E, little e, and little e, little e.
Perfect. So here you have a 50%, because it's 2 out of 4 boxes, of having dark eyes, and you have a 50% chance of having light eyes. Now that means that if you have 4 children, it's not like 2 of them are going to have dark eyes and 2 are light. It's every time that these particular
fresh
genes,
probability.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So could a father and mother who both have dark eyes have a light-eyed child?
No. Well, yes, if they both had big E, little e. If they both had hetero genotype, right?
Good job. Because if they are both heterogeneous, in this box over here, you'd have a little e, little
Right.
e. Now,
25% chance.
Mr. Davey and I both have light eyes. So all of our children have light eyes because the only thing we could both pass is that little e, little a. So these are simple Punnett squares. Many human genes are a little bit more involved in that, and during this unit, we'll actually explore incomplete dominance, codominance, sex-linked traits. So we'll look at some of, and polygenic, like I said, eye color is not just dark or light, it's not just brown or blue, there's a variety there. Skin color, there's a variety there, and that's because it's more than just one gene. But that's what we'll be kind of doing in this unit. One of the fun parts of this unit is students are going to actually work together to create a set of parents, and then they're going to create offspring based on the traits that those parents have.
Nice.
So you'll make like completely fictional parents up, and then you'll say, okay, well, here's the traits of mom, here are the traits for dad, here's their genotypes and phenotypes. We'll do all the Punnett squares and then predict, okay, well, what would the babies look like? And you'll make 2 offspring off of that. So it's a really fun project, and it really forces you to learn all the different types of Punnett squares in a more fun way.
Cool.